Inside a high-security prison, 3 men were eager to escape. The first one was trying to break the cell bars. The second one was working out every day to get strong. The last one was quietly reading a book. One of these prisoners came from the future. Can you tell who? It's the one reading the book. He knows none of the other prisoners are going to make it. By reading books, he might get an answer on how to escape. And even if that doesn't happen, at least reading will help him stay on track until he gets out of there. Ben and Paula were watching a riddle channel at home. They got into a heated discussion about who would survive such a dangerous prank. Take a look at the image. Who do you think has the biggest chance at survival? It's the lady with the snakes. I know that sounds dangerous, but the snakes are small and not poisonous. Dan enrolled in a photography class. For his latest assignment, he needed to take a landscape picture and present it to the class. But Dan didn't have time to do the assignment, so he decided to Photoshop an image and show it in class. The teachers and students immediately saw that the picture wasn't real. How could they tell? Well, because the image has 2 suns. That's not natural, at least not on planet Earth. Maybe Tatooine. Otto decided to take a chance on online dating. After a few days, he started talking to Mandy. They got along pretty well and decided to meet in person. They agreed to meet in Mandy's favorite cafe. She told Otto that she would be using a couple of red hair clips and it should be easy for him to find her. But as soon as Otto arrived there, 3 women were using red hair clips. They were in fashion apparently. So take a look at the image. Can you help Otto find Mandy? Let's see. Mandy is the woman at the first table. She's the only one wearing a pair of hair clips. The woman on the left is using 3 clips, and the other is wearing just 1. Betty walked into a cafe and ordered a cappuccino. But the cashier told her it was her lucky day. He would give Betty her cappuccino for free if she managed to answer a riddle correctly. The cashier said there were 2 buckets filled with water all the way to the top. The buckets had equal height, but the temperature of the water inside the first bucket was 25 degrees Celsius, while the second bucket it was 25 degrees Fahrenheit. If a person dropped the coin inside both buckets at the same time, which coin would hit the bottom of the bucket first? Jenny took a few minutes to answer the riddle, but she got it right. Can you guess what she answered? She said it would hit the bottom of the first bucket first. It had to do with the state of the water in each bucket. At 25 degrees Celsius, the water is liquid, while at 25 degrees Fahrenheit, it turns to ice. Amy lives in a cozy townhouse with 3 roommates, Jill, Alice, and Nora. Take a look at these 4 bedrooms. Can you tell which one belongs to Amy? Let's go one by one, eh, Sherlock? In the first room, there's a comb with some green hair stuck to it. Nora's the one with the green hair, so that must be her room. Then, in the room to the right, there's a single red sock under the bed. Take a look at Jill's feet. She's missing that same sock. That must be her room. In the room right under this, there's a yellow jacket hanging on the chair, and Alice is wearing the same colored pants. It looks like the 2 pieces are a suit, right? That leaves the last room, with this huge letter A poster hanging on the wall. That must be Amy's room. Whew, that took some work. Annie was locked inside a room with 4 doors. On each door, there was a symbol of a creature hidden behind it. On the first door, there was a small dragon. On the second, there was a couple of vampires. On the third door, there was a mummy. And on the last door, there was a werewolf. One of the doors would open in 1 minute, but Annie didn't know which one. She had 3 different items she could use to protect herself: an axe, a torch, or an aspen stake. She needed to choose one that would help her fight any of the monsters. Which one should she choose? Her best option would be to choose the torch. The torch's fire can scare off any of the creatures and protect Annie. Olivia was running a marathon. Right before the finish line, she did her best and outran the person who was running in second place. The woman was happy and excited that she was going to win, but in a few seconds, she was very disappointed. Why? Because Olivia finished in second place when she wanted to finish first. This is what happened. She was fast enough to outrun the person who was going to win second place, but she wasn't fast enough to outrun the person who finished first. But hey, it's a good result anyway. Cheryl ran into her house extremely worried. She told the police officer she took off as soon as she heard the news. She was at her parents' house in another town and wanted to know what had happened to her husband while she was away. The officer said that someone had hurt Mr. Brown and that he ended up in the hospital. He said Mr. Brown was going to be okay, but he still needed to find out who had done this to him. The police officer had questioned 3 suspects so far. Mr. Brown's secretary said that she was sent to visit Mr. Brown's business partner in the morning because important documents needed to be signed. The house cook said he hadn't left the kitchen the entire day, since Mr. Brown had asked him to prepare a meal for him and his wife. And the housekeeper said that she hadn't heard anything. She spent the day doing chores. The officer realized who the culprit was in no time. Can you figure out who did it too? It was the cook. Mr. Brown probably didn't ask him to cook anything for his wife since she was out of town all along. These are Julia and Maria. They are both very attractive young women who have no trouble finding boyfriends. Today is Valentine's Day, and they're both going out with their loved ones. One of them is currently dating 3 people, though, so she's probably going to run from date to date. Just by looking at this image, can you tell which one it is? It's Maria, the one on the left. If you look at her workstation, she's got 3 presents lined up, one for each person she's currently seeing, who, I'm just guessing here, probably don't know about the others. Police officer Dave received a call late one night. A famous chemist went missing from his lab. After searching the lab thoroughly, Dave found a note with random numbers scribbled on it. The note read 26 3 58, 28 27 57 6. It took Dave a while to figure out the hidden message. The clue was on the periodic table. Can you figure it out? The chemist was smart. Each number on the note corresponds to an element in the periodic table. So the element that corresponds to the number 26 is Fe, or iron. The number 3 is Li, lithium. And 58 is Ce, cerium. Using this logic, the first line is spelled Felice. By the same logic, the second line is spelled out Nicholas. After discovering the names, Dave tracked the 2 men down and arrested them. Finally, the sisters reach the town. They're walking down the main street. Suddenly, someone throws an orange right at Helga's head. Elsa identifies the apartment from which the fruit fell out and goes there to complain. She knocks, and a young man opens the door right away. Elsa explains that her sister was hit by an orange that fell from his window. But the guy says, "I was washing my dog when you knocked. Only me and my pet live here, so you confused the floors." But Elsa didn't believe him. Why? According to the man, he was bathing his only pet, but the dog's hair is dry. Therefore, his story is fake. Elsa and Helga enter the local home decor shop. Helga takes a picture of her sister standing in front of the mirror. Can you spot anything odd in this photo? Take a closer look at the mirror. Elsa's hands are reflected wrong, as well as the sale poster behind her. She must be a vampire. Just kidding. The sisters continue exploring the shop, but suddenly Elsa begins to scream and runs away. That's because one of these ladies is not alive. Can you guess who? The first woman is an ordinary human. There's a mirror behind her. The third lady has a painting of herself in the background. And the second lady, who's looking over her shoulder, is a phantom. Her reflection in the mirror doesn't match the reality. Elsa decides to hide in a building nearby. Surprise! It's a pet shop. Elsa wanders around it and spots one weird detail. Can you see it too? The turtle is wearing sunglasses. The locals tell Elsa and Helga about a creepy werewolf who has been scaring the citizens for several weeks. They only know that this werewolf is a lady and she has a husband. He's the only person who can calm her down. Elsa finds 3 suspects who might be the werewolf's husband, but none of them admits it. Can you find him? He's the second guy. There are suspicious brownish hairs on his clothes, although his own hair is blonde. The next day, Helga has a birthday party. Elsa goes to the bakery to purchase a cake for her. She's late, so she rushes over and bumps into a waiter. Elsa hits her head and forgets what cake Helga asked her to buy. She remembers just 3 things. It shouldn't have any green elements, the cake frosting shouldn't include more than 1 color, and it must have at least 1 berry. Can you help Elsa find the correct cake? Elsa should take the 4th cake. It's a chocolate cheesecake, so it doesn't have anything green. The glazing is brown and is decorated with cherries. A perfect match. Elsa buys the cake and leaves. The bakery is located inside the highest tower in town. Elsa enters the elevator to go down, but she hits the wrong button and finds herself on the roof. She decides to take some pictures with the iconic huge clock installed at the top of this tower. Oops! Elsa drops her phone from the roof. She decides to leave, but someone has already locked the door, and the elevator won't work, so she's trapped on the roof. Luckily, Elsa can still change the time of the clock. What time should Elsa set on the clock to make someone notice and rescue her? If she sets 5:05 on the clock, it'll look like an SOS signal. Finally, Elsa escapes from the tower and heads to the parking lot. Here's her car. Can you figure out the number of the place where it's parked? '87. Elsa arrives home. Helga shows her vacation photos sent by her new boyfriend, Kyle. In this case, you can see Kyle, his friend Bob, and a humanoid robot, Neo. Neo is standing next to Bob. A person wearing the yellow mask is not a man. What color is Kyle's mask? According to the terms, only the third guy can be Kyle, so his mask is blue. The birthday party is going well. It's almost midnight, so Elsa goes to the kitchen and adds candles on the birthday cake. Suddenly, she remembers that the only lighter in the house is upstairs in her room. She leaves the cake at the table for a minute. Then Elsa returns and sees the cake smashed all over the floor.
Oh no.
She questions 3 suspects. Lauren says, "I was in the living room all night. I don't know who did it." Wendy says, "I went outside to watch the full moon. It's so beautiful tonight." Kyle says, "I was shooting a TikTok dance with Helga." Who ruined the cake? Wendy. Take a look out the window. The moon is not full. Busted. The next morning, Helga wakes up earlier than Elsa and checks her feed. Breaking news: a legendary thief ran away from a nearby prison and now creeps around the town. He's a talented shapeshifter, so no one knows for sure what he might look like. Suddenly, Helga hears someone ringing on the door. She opens and faces 2 guys who introduce themselves. Bob is a gardener from a nearby park, and Peter is a garbage man. Both guys want to use a bathroom, so they ask Helga to let them in. But only one of them is safe to invite over. Can you guess who? Bob is wearing clothes with red stains, but he's also holding a brush, so he was probably just painting a fence. Let's take a closer look at Peter's facial hair. One mustache has come unglued. It's fake. So he must be the runaway criminal from the news. You just entered a riddle-solving competition. The game show host shows you the first riddle you have to answer. Take a look at the image. Who do you think will be able to make it all the way across the line? Let's face it, it's the man on the left. Even though it looks like he's having a hard time carrying such heavy things, the weight is evenly distributed between his 2 hands, so he'll probably make it through without any problem. For your next challenge, the game show host shows you a picture of sinking boats. Which boat do you think will sink first? The first boat has 2 holes in it, but somehow it has way less water inside. The second boat only has 1 hole, but look at the amount of water that's gotten inside. It's definitely the second boat that's going to sink first. Since you passed the first 2 rounds, the third one gets a bit harder. Ken was riding on his rollerblades when he fell down and hurt his head. He woke up in the hospital, only to find that 3 Barbies were waiting for him. Take a look at the image. Can you figure out which Barbie is actually Ken's girlfriend? This is a tricky one. It can't be the third Barbie, because the real Barbie would never wink at Ken. It's usually him that does the flirty things. It's also not the second Barbie, because she would never put on makeup in front of him. So this leaves us with the first Barbie, who must be his girlfriend. The Finn is a famous hostel in Spain. It's especially famous for its fun showers. But hey, something doesn't look right in this image. Take a look and try to guess what it is. The woman on the right is squeezing a ketchup bottle instead of a shampoo bottle. That's definitely weird, huh? For the final rounds, the host picked out a few written riddles for you. The first one is, I speak without a mouth and hear without ears. Am I a microphone, a phone, or an echo? What would you say? The answer is echo. Echo, echo. I'm not alive, but I can grow. I don't have lungs, but I need air. What am I? A tree, fire, or clouds? The correct answer is fire. Way to go if you chose that. Now, Carol was invited to a Halloween party in an abandoned house. Her friends asked if she was up for a challenge, and she said yes. Soon enough, she was locked inside a room. In this room, there was one door and 3 light switches next to it. Behind the door was an empty closet with nothing but a light bulb. Her task was to figure out which switch controls the light bulb inside the closet. She could flip the switches in whatever way she wanted, but once she opened the door, she couldn't touch the switches anymore. After some minutes of thinking, she was able to get it right. How did Carol do it? Okay, let's go step by step. She flipped switch number 1 and then waited a few minutes. She flipped it back to off and then immediately flipped switch number 2. Then she opened the door and checked the light. The bulb was off, so she discovered that it wasn't switch number 2 that controlled the light. So she decided to touch the bulb to test if it was hot or cold. If the bulb had been cold, that would have meant that switch number 3 controlled it. But the bulb was hot, so that meant that switch number 1 controlled 1. Way to go, Carol! To get back to the party, Carol had to solve another riddle. There were 2 hourglasses in front of her. One hourglass measures 7 minutes, and the other one measures 4 minutes. She needed to time 9 minutes using both hourglasses. How could she do it? First, she turned both hourglasses at the same time. By the time the 4-minute glass finished, there were still 3 minutes left on the other one. She flipped the 4-minute glass again. When the 7-minute glass was empty, there was 1 minute left on the other glass. And once the 4-minute glass emptied again, there was 1 minute's worth of sand at the bottom half of the 7-minute timer. She flipped it over again, so there was 1 minute worth of sand on the top of the glass. And when the 7-minute timer finally emptied again, 9 minutes elapsed in total. Anna sat down to watch her favorite TV show. She made some popcorn, turned on the TV, and nestled comfortably to binge-watch an entire season. Her cat Pepper sat down next to her, but after 5 minutes of screen time, Anna suddenly passed out. Look at the image. Can you guess what happened there? Anna's cat Pepper got scared with the loud thump that came from the TV. It jumped on top of Anna and it scared the life out of her. That's why she passed out. Take a look at this scene. Who do you think has the best chance at survival? The 2 guys look pretty stuck in there, but the woman on the right might have a chance. The rope looks a bit loose around her body. She could try to shake it off and then use her free hands to untie her ankles. Bella landed in New York with a very ambitious career goal. But first thing she needed to do after arriving in the city was to find her apartment. There were many options to get from the airport to her apartment, but Bella decided to save money and go by bus. She had to purchase a ticket for $10, but a handsome guy popped out of nowhere and offered her a better deal. He said his plans had changed and he didn't need his bus ticket anymore. He offered to sell it to her for $6. Bella agreed and gave him the money, but it turned out to be a big mistake. Why? Take a look at the current date on the screen of the vending machine. And now check the date on the ticket. The ticket the man sold Bella expired over a month ago. Finally, Bella managed to arrive in Manhattan and find her apartment. She was sharing a house with 3 other women. Bella introduced herself to them and went to settle in her room. She left her belongings on her bed and went to take a shower. When she stepped out of the shower, Bella noticed that her laptop was missing.
Oh no!
She got furious and decided to interrogate all of her new roommates. Sarah said she had gone out to get a cup of coffee. She even told Bella to ask the doorman of their building since he had seen her leave. Kelly said that she had taken an afternoon nap with her headphones on. She said she hadn't heard or seen anything strange going on inside the apartment. Shannon said that she had gone to the building's rooftop to take some pictures of the city, since she was a professional photographer. Can you tell who's lying here? It's Shannon.
Uh-oh.
If you notice the sign on the lobby, the building strictly prohibits people from accessing the rooftop. Alfred is a supermodel and he just landed his dream job. The biggest magazine in the country invited him to be on the cover of their latest issue. On the day of the photo shoot, he arrived early in the studio. After finishing with hair and makeup, he looked in the mirror and screamed, "Oh no!" His skin was all red. It looked like he was having some serious allergic rash. He called all the assistants he had seen earlier in the day to interrogate them. Amy, the photographer's assistant, said she had been told Alfred was allergic to peanuts, so she made sure to only buy safe snacks. Bo, the makeup artist, said he hadn't touched Alfred's food. He said that right after he finished doing his job, he left for a coffee break. Mary, the cleaning lady, said that she knew how sensitive models could be, so that's why she had only used organic and hypoallergenic products to clean his dressing room. Alfred immediately knew who had contributed to his rash. Can you figure it out too? It was definitely Bo. Sure, he didn't have access to Alfred's food, but he was the only one who touched Alfred's face that day. Liv was recording a dance routine for her social media page when a huge portal opened up and swallowed her whole. The next thing she knew, she was stuck inside a big cavern. Out of the blue, a great genie appeared. He told her that she would only be allowed to leave if she figured a way out by herself. As soon as he disappeared, she saw that there were 3 buttons on the wall. There was a red, a yellow, and a green button. On the floor, there was a note that read TDUPT, RNOR, EHEB, and SST. She clicked one of the buttons and managed to open a door on the wall. Can you guess which button she chose? The red button. She unscrambled the words on the note and discovered it read, "Press the red button." As soon as she pressed the button, Liv was transported into a virtual reality world. An artificial intelligence greeted her welcome and showed her 3 doors. The AI told her that only one door would lead to her freedom. It told her that behind the first door, there were hungry Pac-Men waiting for someone to walk inside. Behind the second door, there were cursed rollerblades. Once you put them on, you'd never be able to take them off. Plus, they had a will of their own and ended up taking you to some pretty dark places. Behind the last door, there were flying fuzzy creatures with laser eyes that would burn anything they came into contact with. Which door do you think Liv should use to escape? Well, she should pick the second door, because she wouldn't be obligated to put the pair of rollerblades on. She could walk past them and straight to her freedom. During the time she was gone, Liv noticed that someone had stolen her laptop. It had all her social media content on it. She figured it must have been one of her roommates, so she decided to take a look around the house and try to find it. Look at these images. The first room belongs to Jill, the second one belongs to Rachel, and the third one belongs to Amy. Can you figure out who stole Liv's laptop? If you look closely, Rachel's cat is sleeping on top of something that really looks like a laptop. It must have been her. Leslie was driving at night to visit her parents, but unfortunately, her car broke down in the middle of nowhere. She decided to walk around to find some help and came across an eerie-looking house. As she started walking through the garden to reach the door, she suddenly got really scared and ran back to her car. Can you spot the 3 things that made her terrified? Look at the statue at the center of the fountain. Its eyes are moving left and right. Secondly, do you see the skeleton hands that are trying to crawl out of the ground? Creepy. And on top of everything, the black cat here has a snake tail instead of a regular one. Mrs. Blair thought, what better way to scare her students than with a pop quiz on Halloween? But she decided to pay extra attention during the exam because everybody would be coming to school dressed in costumes, and that would make it easier for them to cheat. And she was right, because one of them was indeed trying to cheat. Can you tell who? Look, this girl here is hiding a piece of paper with the answers under her witch's hat. On Halloween night, Amanda was playing Truth or Dare with her friends. When it was her turn, they challenged her to enter the old mansion, which not a single soul in town dared to enter before. She accepted the challenge and went inside. But suddenly, the door behind her closed on its own and got locked. Then a skeleton butler greeted her and said, "You're not welcome here, but you can leave if you know my riddle. In the darkest night, I come to life. My eerie gaze causes no strife. What am I that lights the way when monsters and goblins come out to play?" Can you help Amanda? The correct answer is a jack-o'-lantern. Amy was invited to a Halloween party in her neighborhood. When she arrived at the house, she noticed 3 people in costumes who were chilling in the hot pool. But one of them was not a real human being. Can you tell who? Well, the first girl in the witch's costume and the second guy with fangs look scary, but they're only wearing makeup. But the girl who is in a mermaid costume is a real mermaid, because look at her neck. She has gills. It was Aurora's 21st birthday, and her witch aunts were finally going to accept her to their coven. However, there was one spell that she needed to complete as her final test, and it required a magical cauldron. The catch is one could only use this cauldron if they solved the riddle that was engraved on it, which said, "I'm a season of colors with leaves that fall. It's when cozy sweaters come out to warm you all. What am I, aspiring magician, do you know? Solve this riddle and your magical powers will grow." Can you help Aurora find the correct answer? The answer you're looking for is the season of autumn. Take a look at these 2 women who are preparing the dinner tables for their Halloween party, but one of them has nefarious intentions. Can you tell who is the dangerous one? If you take a closer look, you'll see that the lady on the left is more spooky than scary. The green cream on the brownies may look poisonous, but it's just food coloring. And those fingers on the tray are only finger-shaped cookies. So she is simply preparing for the holiday. But the lady on the right didn't even bother to wear a costume, even though she's throwing a Halloween dinner party. And why would anyone sharpen their knives before her guests arrive? That's suspicious. So she must be the dangerous one. The young witch, Elaine, who lived in a deep enchanted forest, was invited to her coven's Halloween gathering. Unfortunately, her broom was broken, and the only other way she could get to her destination was through drinking the teleportation potion. However, she had never cast it before, and the three main ingredients for it were hidden with a riddle in her spell book. The first one was, "In the shadows I quietly grow, not a plant nor an animal you know. After rain I might start to bloom, often found in a forest gloom." Can you tell what the first ingredient is? It's a mushroom. The riddle for the second ingredient went, "I'm as light as air, soft to the touch. Upon a bird's back, I don't weigh much. I help a creature soar high and free, yet I fall to the ground for all to see. What am I?" Do you know the answer? It's a feather. And the riddle for the third ingredient was this: "In darkness I weave my trap so discreet. With patience I wait for a tasty treat. Silent and stealthy in corners I bide. With multiple eyes my world I divide." Can you help Elaine find out what that is? The answer is a spider. But now she needed to wander deeper into the woods to find those ingredients. Take a look around. Can you help her spot them? There's the mushroom under these flowers. The bird's feather is here, hidden behind the flowers. And the spider is climbing up this tree. One famous club in the city was organizing a Halloween party, and Jenny and her friends were going to go. Inside, there were two different counters from where they could get their drinks. But one of these bartenders is dangerous. Can you tell which one? This bartender is dressed as a vampire for Halloween, and he is simply putting on a fire show. On the other hand, the bartender who is polishing the glasses has a bottle of poison here among the bottles, so the girl should avoid him at all costs. James was attending a Halloween dinner party. He wanted to have something to eat, so he headed to the open buffet. Examine these three snack options closely. One of them will hurt his stomach. Can you tell which one that is? The first cupcakes might look like they're dripped in blood, but it's just cherry-flavored glaze. And these worms on the pudding cups are just worm gummies. But look at this candy apple. It's glowing like fluorescence. That looks toxic. Monsters from all around the world were going to meet at their annual Halloween celebration. But the word was out that a human heard about it and was planning to crash their party. So they placed a monster security at the entrance of the venue. The security was suspicious of these three creatures. Can you help him figure out which one of them is actually a human? Take a peek at the moon. It's not full. Then how come this werewolf is here? He shouldn't have turned into one, so he must be a human wearing a costume. Amy and her friends went to the Halloween parade that was visiting their town. There was a scary maze, and Amy decided to try it herself. However, after a while, she got lost and started to panic. But she didn't notice that there were hints around the maze that would guide her to the exit. Can you spot them? Look at these bricks on the maze walls here. They're in the shape of arrows. So she can just follow them and leave. Aaron got dressed as a pirate for Halloween. On his way to his friends, he saw a glowing box on the side of the road. He got curious and went to check it out. He discovered that it was a treasure box. He tried to open it, but it was locked, and there was a riddle on it. I'm colorful and chatty, perched up high, with feathers so vibrant I catch your eye. I can mimic your words both near and far, found in the jungle or as a pet. Can you tell what am I? It's a parrot. Here we go. You just arrived home from a long day of work and tuned into the Riddles show on your TV. Take a look at this scene. Who do you think has the best chance at survival? The two guys look pretty stuck in there, but the woman on the right might have a chance. The rope looks a bit loose around her body. She could try to shake it off and then use her free hands to untie her ankles. Which one of these definitely isn't human? It's the guy on the left. If you look closely, you'll see that the skin around his eyes is green. Take a look at these three guys. Which one of them is going on a date tonight? It must be the guy in the middle. He's holding a chocolate box in the shape of a heart. It's wrapped with a bow and everything. Alice, Beth, Cece, and Diana are standing in line to get a new video game. Alice is standing between Beth and Cece. Cece is in front of two people, and Diana is standing in front of her. Can you say the exact order in which the girls are standing? Let's see, there are four of them. If Cece is standing in front of two people, and Diana is in front of her, then Diana is the first in line. Cece is the second one. Then Alice is standing between Beth and Cece. So the third person is Alice, and the last one is Beth. There are 10 students in the class. 6 of them learn French. Oui, oui. 7 of the students in the class learn Spanish. Olé! If every student learns at least one foreign language, how many students learn both French and Spanish? This is pretty simple math. 6 plus 7 equals 13. If there are only 10 students in the class, that means that 3 students are learning both French and Spanish. A police officer was following a robber around the city. Suddenly, the criminal rushed toward a hospital and disappeared. When the police officer entered the building, he saw 3 people. One of them must be the robber, who had dressed up pretending to be a doctor. Can you tell who the criminal is? It's the girl on the left. Look at her shoes. They're dirty. She probably didn't have time to clean or change them. Theo was getting ready for a job interview when the lights in his apartment went off. He was in a rush and didn't have time to wait for the lights to come back on. He was almost ready. He only needed to put on his socks and boots. Theo had socks of 3 different colors – black, white, and gray. He didn't care what color his socks would be, but he needed 2 socks of the same color. How many socks should Theo take to make sure there would be at least 1 matching pair? He just needs 4 socks. Even if the first 3 socks are different colors, the 4th sock will probably be either black, white, or gray, matching one of the others. Devin takes showers every day, but on even days of the month, he takes a long bath. During 1 year's time, how many baths does he take? Well, let's see. Except for February, all months have 30 or 31 days. In each month, there are usually 15 even days. For starters, we should multiply 15 by 11, which gives us 165 days. If we count February as having 14 even days, then the total number of baths Devin takes in a year is 179. This is Allison, and one of these 3 men is her boyfriend. Can you tell who? It's the guy on the left. Look, they have matching tattoos. Bella landed in New York with a very ambitious career goal. But first thing she needed to do after arriving in the city was to find her apartment. There were many options to get from the airport to her apartment, but Bella decided to save money and go by bus. She had to purchase a ticket for $10, but a handsome guy popped out of nowhere and offered her a better deal. He said his plans had changed and he didn't need his bus ticket anymore. He offered to sell it to her for $6. Bella agreed and gave him the money, but it turned out to be a big mistake. Why? Take a look at the current date on the screen of the vending machine. And now check the date on the ticket. The ticket the man sold Bella expired over a month ago. Finally, Bella managed to arrive in Manhattan and find her apartment. She was sharing a house with 3 other women. Bella introduced herself to them and went to settle in her room. She left her belongings on her bed and went to take a shower. When she stepped out of the shower, Bella noticed that her laptop was missing.
Oh no!
She got furious and decided to interrogate all of her new roommates. Sarah said she had gone out to get a cup of coffee. She even told Bella to ask the doorman of their building since he had seen her leave. Kelly said that she had taken an afternoon nap with her headphones on. She said she hadn't heard or seen anything strange going on inside the apartment. Shannon said that she had gone to the building's rooftop to take some pictures of the city, since she was a professional photographer. Can you tell who's lying here? It's Shannon.
Uh-oh.
If you notice the sign on the lobby, the building strictly prohibits people from accessing the rooftop. Henry was backpacking through Italy by himself. One evening, around 8 p.m., he got very hungry and decided to look for a cozy restaurant to have some dinner. He walked into a traditional restaurant, only to find a customer and a waiter arguing over something. The customer was saying that he had ordered tomato soup, while the waiter was saying that he had only ordered a hot chocolate. Henry saw something that immediately showed him who was lying. Can you find out too? The customer is lying. Behind him, there's a huge sign that says the restaurant only serves soup from 1 to 4 p.m. Since it was 8 p.m. in the evening, the waiter would have never accepted the customer's order in the first place. These are Julia and Maria. They are both very attractive young women who have no trouble finding boyfriends. Today is Valentine's Day, and they're both going out with their loved ones. One of them is currently dating 3 people, though, so she's probably going to run from date to date. Just by looking at this image, Can you tell which one it is? It's Maria, the one on the left. If you look at her workstation, she's got 3 presents lined up, one for each person she's currently seeing. Hey, who am I to judge? Dave, an archaeologist, traveled to Egypt on a very special mission. He spent days excavating ruins hidden under miles of sand, and the only thing he found was a coin marked 10 BCE. When he showed it to his colleagues, they told him the coin was a fake. Why? Well, because the designation BCE didn't appear until the beginning of our era. Take a look at this image. Can you figure out which doctor is fake? It's the guy on the left. He's got headphones wrapped around his neck. Something's not right there. Harry and Terry's girlfriends went away on a business trip for the weekend. During the whole time, the couples were texting and sending each other pictures. On Sunday morning, both girlfriends asked their boyfriends to send a selfie of where they were. Harry sent a selfie smiling inside the kitchen. Terry sent a selfie of himself in the bathroom. One of the girls knew immediately that their boyfriend was cheating. Who was the cheater, and how did the girlfriend know? It was Harry. Look at the lipstick mark on the glass on the top of the kitchen counter. Uh-oh.